Okay, when you're using insert equation or the equation editor in Google Docs, essentially the way what you want to do makes it a lot easier if you zoom in. So if you click on this little zoom and you can click the 200 or 150%, it'll make it easier to click on things or move around in your equation. The other thing that you're going to want to do is increase the size of your font. So if you increase it to like 24, you can always, if it makes the equation too big, you can always go back and reduce the size of the font. But making that font big is going to make it a lot easier to see the different parts of the equation and work with it. Okay, so to insert equation, you click Insert, and then you click Equation, and you'll get this blue little box. And then at the top, you'll have your equation tools. So if you need Greek letters, if you need a math symbol, here's some more math symbols. And then here's where you're going to have like your fractions, your square roots, whatever else that is, arrows for your chemical reactions and stuff like that. Here's where you do your subscripts. That's where you do your superscripts. And then when you use your equation, like if we were having to solve for density and we wanted to put density equals mass divided by volume, I would click my fraction and I would type in the mass. Then I would use my right arrow key to drop down to your volume. You always want to use your arrow keys, the cursor keys, to move through your equation. It'll make it easier. If you try to click on things, sometimes you can click in the right spot, sometimes you can't. Okay? So like I'm trying to click down, and sometimes the cursor goes away. Usually when the cursor goes away, it means you're at the end of the equation. So you'll notice I just hit my right arrow key and my cursor disappeared just because I'm at the end of the equation. All right, so if I wanted to then go equals and then put some numbers in, then I would come and click my fraction again. I type my numbers in there. Then I'd use my right arrow key to drop down, type in whatever the volume was for that part, use my right arrow key to go to the end of the equation. Now you'll notice there's a blue box around my equation. If I hit my arrow key again, I'm out of the equation. And my equation tools are no longer available. Okay? So to get back in, I just use my left arrow key to jump back in. Hit it equal. So when you're doing this, try to do it all in one equation box. So be mindful that if it's not outlined in blue, you're not in the equation. You can't use your equation tools. Now, some other things that might come up. There's a keyboard shortcut that you'll learn how to do superscripts and subscripts that you won't be able to use while you're inside equations. If you want to do a superscript or subscript, you have to use the tools. The other thing is special characters. Sometimes you need a special character. If you wanted like the degree sign, you click on special characters, and then in the search bar, just type in degrees, or even just DEG. As you start typing the word degree, it's going to pull up anything that's related to degrees, and if you'll notice, it has the degree Celsius thing right there. You just click on it, and it's inserted. Okay, it doesn't show you anything over here, but every time you click on it, it's going to insert a degree Celsius. Okay, doing dimensional analysis using Equation Editor. Usually when you start a document, you're not going to have this equation, your equation tools right here. And if you do, you can just click New Equation. If you don't, then click Insert, Equation. And then the first thing you want to do is insert a fraction. So we're going to use our fraction to build our dimensional analysis line. So if we were converting 55 miles per hour, we put the miles on top, the hours on the bottom. Then I'm going to use my right arrow key until my cursor goes away, but I still have my blue box around my equation. Then I'm going to insert another fraction. And let's say we're converting it to miles per second. So then I'd put 1 hour on the top, use my right arrow key to drop down, 60 minutes in an hour. Then I'll use my right arrow key. If you try to use your up key, it kicks you out of the equation. So you got to use your right and left arrow key. And if you have your equation big enough, you can click on it with your mouse. And then I'm going to insert another fraction. And so if I'm changing it to miles per hour to miles per second, then I'm going to put 1 minute on the top and 60 seconds on the bottom. And I'm going to use my right arrow key. Now I'm out of the fraction. And I'm going to put equals. And then I can do my calculation. Now the only drawback of doing this is that you cannot strike out, you can't cross out the units that cancel. So that's the only drawback on Google Classroom. You can do it on Microsoft Word, but you can't on Google Docs. Subscripts in an equation is just like superscripts. Before you need the subscript, you need to click the subscript button. So for example, if we were going to do H2O, before I type the H, I need to come click on the subscript button. So the subscript button is under Math Operations. I go over and I find the X with the subscript A. I click on that. That gives me my subscript. I type in my H. I use my right arrow key to jump down to the subscript that I put in. Then I use my right arrow key to jump out of it. And in this case, if we were typing water, H2O, I'd put in my O for oxygen. And that's how you do subscripts in equations. Now, if you're not in an equation and you need a subscript in Google Doc, you just type in H, and you can come up to Format and click on Text and click on the subscript command here, or you can just hold down your Control button and hit the comma key. Then I'll type in my 2, then I hold down my Control button again, hit the comma key, it jumps out of subscript, and then I type in my capital O for H2O. Okay, using superscripts in equations, essentially what you do is you have to click on the superscript button before you need the superscript. So let's say, for example, I want to type in centimeters cubed, okay? So before I even type in centimeters, I'm going to go to the Math Operations tools. I'm going to click it. I'm going to go all the way to the end where it is the X with the B raised to the power B. I'm going to click on that. You'll notice that my equation changes just a little bit. Then I'm going to type in cm for centimeters. And I'm going to use my right arrow key, and that's going to jump up to the superscript that I just put in. Then I'm going to type my 3. Then I'm going to use my right arrow key to get out of superscripts. And it's just that simple. Now, if you're not in an equation, you can use Format. This doesn't work in equations. You can use Format, and you can come click on this, or it'll give you the keyboard shortcut. And so for y'all, it's going to be Control period. So essentially, if I want to do the same thing, if I'm not in equations, I type in my centimeters, I hit Control, hold it down, hit period, it jumps up to superscript. I type in my 3, I hit Control, hold it down, hit my period, and we're out of superscripts.